Kronicle word add-in offers typically 4 functionalities as on the date, that is assess, automation, assemble and abstract. Assess functionality enables users to identify probable errors, inconsistent terms, definition and potential errors in the document. So let me click on assess, and as you would see upon selecting assess functionality, Kronicle has generated a quick summary of my document and it has highlighted some of the 19 issues which are present in this non-disclosure agreement, out of which 6 are undefined term, 2 are unused defined term, 7 are defined term not capitalized, 2 are inconsistent definition, 2 are inconsistent words and phrases, and as there are no issues in this particular category called inconsistent spellings, the score is 0. But before looking into how do we improvise all these issues, sometimes reviewers likes getting a bird's eye view of this entire document. This could be done by clicking on the index functionality, and a user will get all the relevant sections and clauses at one place. User can further navigate to these relevant sections in the document by selecting each one of them. So for example, if I want to see where is non-compete clause located in the document, I have to click on the non-compete clause and I will be redirected to the clause in the document. Similarly, if I want to see where is the indemnity clause located in the document, I can click on the indemnity clause and I will be redirected to the indemnity clause in the document, and so on with each of these clauses. Now coming back to understand how do we address these issues, these 19 issues which are highlighted by Kronicle word add-in. For the purpose of that, let me click assess to improve, and I have got a list of all these probable categories which we have just discussed few minutes back. So let me start with defined terms. So the number in this bracket denotes that there are total 11 defined terms in this document. Since we are dealing with a non-disclosure agreement, it would be interesting to see what is the definition of confidential information. So let me click on confidential information, and I will be shown how confidential information is defined in this particular non-disclosure agreement. If a user wants to see and get the location of confidential information, he can click on it and he will be redirected to the place where confidential information is defined. Further, since we just discussed, given the importance of confidential information, it has some 20 occurrence in the document. We have option of cross references which could be selected, and all the clauses or the sentences wherever confidential information is referred could further be reviewed and analyzed. As the minute we have clicked on cross references, now I get all the relevant sentences where word confidential information is used in this document. I can further click on it and I will be redirected to that particular clause or a sentence, and I can further review it or so as to see in case any changes are required. For example, if I click here, then I'll be redirected to here. Now this here confidential information is being used in a clause called exclusion from confidential information. Similarly, all these cross references could be viewed. Now typically in any defined term or in any definition, sometimes other defined terms are also used, and it is very important to review those defined terms as well, because the interpretation of the particular definition could further be analyzed, and this is offered by a functionality called linked defined term. So when I click on linked defined term, you would see there are 4 defined terms which are used in this particular definition of confidential information, that is agreement, disclosing party, receiving party and a party. In case we further want to see how these defined term, or what we call here as linked defined term, are used in the definition, we can again select it and we will be directly redirected to that particular definition. So for example, the minute I have selected disclosing party, I am being redirected that how disclosing party here is defined as Pontoso Private Limited. In this way, a quick glance of the definition, linked defined term and its cross references could be viewed. Now coming back to the other category, that is called undefined term. Undefined term lists out all the capitalized terms which are not defined in the document. So let us see. Now I see I'm getting in this category I am getting a undefined term called property concepts, Companies Act, manufacturing party, disclosing and building. Now if I want to review it, I can again select it. So let me click select proprietary concepts. Now okay, so proprietary concept is used as an undefined term in the confidential information. Is there, now I can quickly view, is proprietary concept a definition? So we have confidential information, client information, applicable law, and then it is also not being a part of defined terms. So clearly it is undefined term. Now further a drafter can take a decision whether he wants to define it or he wants to further make the necessary change by undo the capitalization. So for example, now let me make it to the lowercase and now let me refresh it. So now you would see proprietary concept is no longer a part of undefined term because now we have rectified the error. Coming to the second category, that is defined term not capitalized, which is basically it lists out all the instances where defined terms have not been capitalized. So I think right now we were just discussing about the defined term called confidential information, and we see it is falling under the category called defined term not capitalized. So let us have a view what are the places or instances where this is not capitalized and should be capitalized. So we can click it. So it's in the disclaimer clause where a drafter is saying receiving party will rely solely upon its independent examination and assessment of the confidential information. Okay, so here you can get a quick view that this was a defined term, but it is not capitalized it and could be rectified. The further occurrence could be reviewed by clicking on the arrow button. So now I have clicked on it and I will be further redirected to the other places where the word confidential information is not capitalized. Like one of the second occurrence is in clause 19 called limited purpose, where again a drafter has missed to capitalize confidential information as a defined term. Similarly, the other references of the confidential information or any defined term could be viewed by clicking on the arrow button. Then comes unused defined term. Unused defined term lists out all the defined terms which have not been used in the contract. So for example, it says applicable law is an unused defined term. So let me click on it. So I'm being redirected to applicable laws. Now since it says it is unused defined term, probably means applicable law is not being used anywhere. So let me just cross check it by doing a Control F in the document. And that's right. I think it is only the one occurrence which is coming as a part of definition, and drafter has not used this definition at all in the entire agreement. This clearly means that there is no requirement of a definition called applicable law because it's not being used at all. So a drafter can again delete this and again recheck by clicking on the refresh button. Okay, so since the minute I have refreshed and I have deleted the definition of applicable law, thus it is no longer a part of this particular category. So Kronicle, whatever changes a drafter is going to make, Kronicle is going to list out and identify all the probable errors on a real-time basis. Next category is inconsistent definition. This detects potential inconsistencies due to multiple definitions of a defined term. So for example, I'll select the transaction. Now transaction is defined twice in the agreement, which is of course an error. So the first occurrence I see is in the recital clause where a drafter has defined transaction as something related to sales and manufacturing of white alumina. And the second occurrence of transaction I see drafter has defined it for the purpose of manufacturing soda ash component. So there is clearly an inconsistency when a drafter has defined the term transaction. This functionality highlights all these inconsistent definitions. Again, for example, let me click on effective date. So once at one place a drafter has defined effective date as 23rd July 21, and on the second place I see drafter has defined effective date on as 8th August 21, which is again an inconsistency. So quickly all these inconsistent definitions could be identified and be rectified. Then the category is inconsistent words and phrases. It highlights all those typical words which are mostly related, but legally they have different meaning. So for example, legally amend has a different meaning and change has a different meaning. And again, the number in this bracket denotes that in this agreement amend is being used thrice and change is being used once. Again, a user can click on these particular categories or these probable errors, navigate themselves in the document, and can further rectify these mistakes. Since there are no inconsistent spellings in this document, therefore the score is 0, and this is how a user can quickly review and sanitize this entire document. To stay updated with the latest developments, please visit our website at www.chronicle.in and follow us on our social media platforms to connect with us and be a part of our community.